Hi, boys and girls. In reading today, we are still focusing on synthesizing. Remember, synthesizing is when you're going along and you're reading a book and you're using your schema and you're thinking about what's going on in the book. But all of a sudden, some new information comes along, and so you combine that new information with what you already kind of knew, and you get a new idea. You realize something different. You change your mind. Okay, synthesizing is when you grow and you change as you read a book. You can even go back and forth if you're reading a book. You can think that one thing and then you'd be like, oh no, I don't think that. Oh wait, yep, I still think that. You can go back and forth like that. Synthesizing is changing your mind based on information and using what you already know. And it's okay. That's what good readers do, is that they slowly kind of change their thinking as they read. Now, I'm going to be reading you a book that you've already read with me before, but it's a perfect book for synthesizing, and it's okay to reread books to practice different skills. So we're going to read the book Charlie Anderson today, again, to try to practice synthesizing while we read, and I'm going to be filling out this worksheet as I read this book also, because you're going to have this worksheet to fill out today on Seesaw on a different book, okay? So you're going to be doing exactly what I'm doing today, but you're going to be doing it on your own with a totally different book. So let's just kind of look at the worksheet so we know how to do this. So it's got a spot for the book title. Well, my book title is Charlie Anderson. Charlie Anderson. And who wrote this book? This book is written by Barbara Abercrombie. That's quite a name. Barbara, did I spell it right? Yeah, I did. It just didn't look right. Nope, that's not right either. Abercrombie. See, I have to look at it to make sure I do it right. Okay, so they've got 3 balloons. One says, at first I thought, as I read, then I thought. So at first I'm going to think one thing, and then as I read, I start to think something else, and then at the end I'm going to think something totally different. So I'm going to read this book, and then I might move my camera back to show you that page as I add things. So here we go. Charlie Anderson. Let's see. Love this book. One cold night, a cat walked out of the woods, up the steps, across the deck, and into the house where Elizabeth and Sarah lived. He curled up next to their fireplace to get warm. He watched the 6 o'clock news on TV. He tasted their dinner. He tried out their beds. He decided to stay, and the girls named him Charlie. Every morning, Charlie disappeared into the woods again. So, at first, what am I thinking? So, I'm thinking that this stray cat, Charlie, came into their house and was like their pet. So, I'm going to write that. At first, I thought Charlie was a stray, which means he didn't have a home, a stray cat. He came to live with, what was it, Sarah and Elizabeth? Yes, Sarah and Elizabeth. Sarah and Elizabeth. Okay. So I'm thinking Charlie was a stray cat that came to live with Sarah and Elizabeth. That's what I thought. I'm going to keep reading. At night when he came home, Elizabeth brushed him clean, fed him dinner, and made a space for him at the foot of her bed. He liked Elizabeth's bed the best. Sometimes he would wake up in the middle of the night and hear him purring in the dark. So I'm still thinking that he's a stray cat that just comes and lives with them. Sarah called him baby and dressed him up in doll clothes. When it snowed, Elizabeth and Sarah's mother heated Charlie's milk before he left for the woods. He grew fatter and fatter, and every day he purred louder and louder. On weekends, the girls stayed with their father and stepmother in the city. They wanted to bring Charlie with them, but their mother said he'd miss the woods. "Charlie's a country cat," she told them. One stormy night, Charlie didn't come home. Elizabeth and Sarah stayed out on the deck and called his name. But no Charlie. Where was he? Why wouldn't he come out of the woods? Was he all right? All night long, Elizabeth listened to the rain beating on the roof and the wind rattling the windows. Was he cold? Was he hurt? Where was Charlie? Okay, so I'm thinking something different now, kind of. Now I'm thinking, okay, so Charlie was a stray cat and he came to live with Sarah and Elizabeth. So now I'm thinking, as I'm reading, I think Charlie is lost or ran away. Okay, so he came to live with Sarah and Elizabeth, but now I think he's lost or he ran away. So something has changed. He's not coming back anymore. So something happened, and that's what I think has happened. In the morning, Elizabeth and Sarah looked for him. They asked the lady down the road if she'd seen their cat. She said no and offered them cookies, but they were too worried to eat anything, even her chocolate chip cookies. They went to the new house on the other side of the woods. "Have you seen our cat?" they asked. "His name is Charlie. He's very fat and has gray striped fur." "We have a cat with gray striped fur," said the man, "but his name's not Charlie. It's Anderson. He's upstairs asleep on our bed." They heard a meow, and down the stairs came a very fat cat with gray striped fur. "Charlie!" Sarah and Elizabeth cried. "No, that's Anderson," said the woman. "We've had him for 7 years. Right, Anderson?" He looked at her and began to purr. Oh, that cat. So now I'm thinking something different. At first I thought Charlie was a stray cat that came to live with Sarah and Elizabeth. And then I thought that he ran away. But now I realize that he was not a stray cat and he didn't run away. He actually had 2 homes all along. So now I know, now because of more information in the story, I know that Charlie is also Anderson. He has 2 homes. He has a daytime home and a nighttime home where he gets to eat both times. That's Stinker Cat. "But it's Charlie," Sarah said. He looked at her and purred louder. "Is he ever here at night?" Elizabeth asked. "Anderson is a hunter," said the man. "He prowls the woods at night." "Well, Charlie sleeps in my bed at night," Elizabeth said. "He leaves for the woods after breakfast." "Well, Anderson comes home at breakfast time," said the woman. "He leaves right after dinner." And they all looked at the cat, and he sat at their feet, very happy and very fat. They call him Charlie Anderson now. Sometimes in bed at night, Elizabeth asks him, "Who do you love best, Charlie Anderson?" And she can hear him purring in the dark. And just like Elizabeth and Sarah, Charlie has 2 houses, 2 beds, 2 families who love him. He's a lucky cat. Okay, so we did learn that Charlie Anderson has a daytime home and a nighttime home, just so he gets to eat twice. So, well, really double times, I suppose. You're going to get a book that you're going to listen to, and you're going to fill out the balloons, what you're thinking at first. So maybe after you read just the first couple of pages, what are you thinking is happening in the story? And then as you read, you know, if there's a spot where you have a new thought, something new you're thinking, go ahead and write that down. And then if you have another new thought, like something where you're like, oh, okay, fill that out here. Now it might be that you're a really good figure outer, if that's really a word. You might first think this and figure out the ending right here in that spot. That's okay. You know, just write down when you're noticing things that are changing in the book and when you have those ahas and you're like, wait, I think something else is going on here. Okay? So fill out the chart for me on the other book.